Alright guys, Ian here from 79 Sports Therapy. So, coronavirus is here and everybody's now working from home. To help, we wanted to explore 3 different things that we think are really important in terms of nailing that sort of working from home strategy so that you can be as optimal and as productive as you would normally be in the office. Let's have a little look. So point number 1 is routine. That the body really likes routine, mentally we really like routine. And of course when we're in the office, we have that routine, right? So you wake up at a certain time, have your breakfast at a certain time, you drive a certain route to work, you get to the office, you do your work, you kind of break for lunchtime, you go walk around to the same shop, have your same food, etc, etc. And we just get into that kind of routine, that almost habitual state, whereby actually as soon as we start to try and break that, the body almost sort of puts up a bit of a sort of barrier and says, oh, do you know, this is now a bit weird, this is a bit different, I'm gonna throw up sort of roadworks in the way. So that might be, you just certainly sort of start to kind of procrastinate a little bit more. You might start to kind of, need to eat a little bit more, get out of that routine of good sort of healthy sort of dietary habits, etc, etc, etc. So one of the most important things then for us in terms of working from home is to actually set a routine. So you set a wake up time. So you wake up at the appropriate time and you set a logging on time. Your logging on time would be the normal sort of logging on time as it would be for work, 9 o'clock, 8:30, whatever it is. And we then sort of set to that. And we sort of set that strict every single day. And we log off at the sort of same time. And I think one of the things with sort of working from home is we get into that sort of habitual state of just being a 24-hour sort of workshop. It's got to be that actually we keep those same sort of office rules, those same sort of out of office email sort of setups, etc, etc. Make sure your kind of dietary habits are the same. Again, set a routine. So if you normally have a lunchtime when you're in the office, set a routine. Set a lunchtime when you then working from home. Make sure that you have some snacks around if you would do in the office, but make sure we're then not over snacking. Good habits allow us to be very, very productive, very, very routine, very, very structured in terms of what our day looks like. Replicating exactly as it would be in the office is a really, really good way to kind of script this for most people. So point number 2 is setup. Now it's really, really easy to look like this guy. And I realise that not everybody has a sort of desk, sort of bespokely kind of set up for working at home. For the vast majority of people listening to this, obviously, you work in an office, right? So you may well just say, well, actually, I don't need a kind of home office because I work in an office. That's perfectly fine. And I think, again, trying to make do as best as possible, but always with that thought in the head of, I'm trying to replicate my office as is, right? So, good solid chair, good desk, good setup, as best as possible, is basically kind of what we're kind of going for here. It might be a dining room table, it might be that you're kind of, sort of bodging a few things together, but we want to be sitting well, we want to have a good posture, and we want to be able to kind of work productively. There's no point in sort of having this sort of setup if actually you're going to sort of break every sort of like hour, 2 hours, because your back is absolutely killing you. We're getting neck ache, we're getting headaches. This doesn't produce us, allow us to be very kind of productive as we kind of need to be. This is a kind of scenario whereby we're not working from home for an hour or 2 a day, or we're not working from home 1 day out of the week. This may well be a sort of multi-day, multi-week thing, and actually trying to create a sort of best structure, I think, is really important. And with that in mind, definitely looking at, trying to take some time and actually working standing up, I think is really, really important. We know the benefit of doing sort of sit-stand working. Not just in terms of sort of, the sort of physical side of things, the mental side of things, but also in terms of productivity. There's been, sort of quite a few studies now that are sort of showing actually an improvement in sort of productivity, which is great. The issue, again, for a lot of people at home is, where to kind of do this, right? We can ask HR for a kind of sit-stand desk when we're in the office. but we can't necessarily sort of afford a sit-stand desk for at home. You know, sort of simple things like sort of kitchen sort of work surfaces are actually kind of quite good for, sort of standing work on a sort of laptop. It's not an absolute ideal for sure, but actually for the vast majority of people, they're definitely kind of high enough. There are other ways again of sort of creating kind of workarounds and creating kind of budgets. For me, I do actually have a kind of standing kind of sort of desk sort of setup. Let's have a quick little look at it. And that's my desk setup. Really, really simple and easy. This box is from a company called Deskmate. They are really, really worth checking out. Fundamentally it's a cardboard box. But it's a really sort of well-engineered cardboard box, which sounds a bit daft, I do realise. But because of the fact that it's collapsible, it means actually it works really well in the office setup, because it just means that you can just stow it underneath your desk when you're done. They do have other sort of more high-tech versions of this, as well as sort of two-tier versions. This isn't sponsored, FYI, but actually I think it's a really, really good and sort of sensible and easy sort of setup for everybody. As I say, this one comes from my home. I will definitely kind of work with it here as well from time to time. But again, would work really, really well within a sort of normal office setup. Obviously what I then do is just plant my laptop sort of on top of it, and away we go. One of the other things that I've got as well are these sort of little dots. Super, sort of simple and easy sort of design, but all they do is they just lift the back of the keyboard or back of the laptop, so I just have a slightly nicer sort of place for my hands to kind of sit. And that's it. Very, very low cost, very, very sort of simple design. Obviously for you at home, if you've not sort of ordered yourself sort of one of these, perfectly fine. Again, if you've got a sort of cardboard box sort of lying around from a delivery, or if you take a sort of big delivery and that happens to be a cardboard box, grab it, put it back together again, and then we've got ourselves a sort of standing desk solution. Perfect for the home, perfect for the office. Again, definitely well worth sort of thinking about. So point number 3, and one that's really linked to standing desks, is to move more often. It's really, really easy when we're sort of sat at home and we're just stuck on the sofa doing some work to actually then not move, and it becomes 2 hours, 3 hours, 5, 7, 8 hours later, and you're like, I've not actually kind of moved all day. Moving is king. Absolutely, movement is king, right? The more often we can kind of do it, the better. Now, if we're going to work on the sort of sit-stand sort of setup, it's very, very sort of simple maths. We do 30 minutes sitting, 30 minutes standing, repeat all day. As regards movement is every 15 minutes. And it's not necessarily like go and do exercise. It's not movement like that. It's go and just move. Have a postural change. Look, you can definitely have a beeper on your phone, beeper on your watch, or whatever that sort of says, every 15 minutes stand up. That would be kind of really cool, having those sort of external cues. But you can also sort of apply different kind of work-based scenarios around that. So every time you take or make a phone call, stand up. Again, all of this obviously massively applies to when we're sort of back in the office. But certainly from home, it's very, very sort of simple and easy to kind of walk around, sort of having a chat on the phone. No one's going to look at you weird. As I say to all my patients, you don't need to kind of sit down to say hello. So let's get up to kind of say hello and sort of take a phone call. Having a small cup of water versus a big bottle of water. Very kind of sort of simple things that just force you up and out the seat, up and out. Let's have a little sort of move around, having that sort of small little sort of postural change. Doing that regularly. As I say, every 15 minutes makes an absolute world of difference to how you feel come the sort of end of the day. But that's us for this time. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, sort of comment below. Let us know what your setup sort of look like. And obviously, certainly at this time, just stay safe.